Wait till you see what I show you today. And I can't wait to show you guys how well we are doing and how some of the people that I used to say in the past that don't move well, they don't take positions well. Whatever Rúben Amorim's doing in training is working. He is definitely getting Ama's movement great, Bruno's movement great, Lenny Yoro's movement great, Rasmus's movement great. I'm going to show you examples of all of this stuff in game. Rúben Amorim's system and tactics are actually all full of fluid movements, and it takes a lot for a team to learn. This is exactly why I think that Manchester United is actually very interested in Benjamin Sesko. Benjamin Sesko is actually really good at this type of stuff. He can do these things really well at a very high level. Rasmus actually do pretty well holding up the ball, giving it to Cass, and now Rasmus can spin his defender who was being really aggressive on his back, and that's why it's so important to stay on your feet in these situations. A couple of days ago, we beat Bournemouth 4-1 in another preseason game, and I am now just getting the chance to put together the tactics breakdown video. And guys, I am super excited about this one, so I hope you're a subscriber and you had your notifications on and you're getting to watch this before the Everton game, because the Everton game is right around the corner. And if you're watching this after the game, don't worry about it. There's still a lot to learn from this, but if you're watching it before the game, I want you to watch for those things in the game that I talk about today, because honestly, we did even more in the Bournemouth game than we did in the West Ham game, and I was super excited about that video. Wait till you see what I show you today. But first, what's up, YouTube? Thank you for clicking on the thumbnail and joining me one more time for another video. And this one's going to be a doozy, guys. I am super excited. I actually worked on this for 2 days straight because there's so much to show. Guys, hit the like button if you've been with me before. You know how to do this. Hit that like button and get the trend started for me. Thank you, and I appreciate you guys so much. And for the new guys, you don't have to hit the like button yet. You don't even know me yet. Just hang out, chill, watch what I have to say, see how I present things, and if you like it, consider subscribing. But I want to get right into this, man. And I also had a commenter on the last video that said I waste too much time before I get into the tactics. So let's get right into it. And today, I'm going to take you guys to school. What does that mean? I'm going to actually throw up a tactics board and show you exactly the shapes and where the gaps are and what the movements are supposed to be. Not all of it, because it took a lot of time just to even draw on a stupid tactics board, but I'll try to do my best and you'll see what I'm seeing, and then I'll show in-game footage examples, guys. So let's get to it, man. Let's get to school. Class is in session. Sit back, relax, see if you hear me and understand me. And if you don't, if I confuse you or if you don't agree with anything I say, leave it in the comments below, man. Be cool. I know you're in there. I know you're going to comment and say something. Let me know what's up, man. All right, let's jump into it. Here is a tackle. Well, actually, first I want to show you the zone board. This is a zones on a pitch. This is what I mean when I say zone 16 and 18. The higher numbers are the opponent's side of the field. So if I say zone 16 or zone 18, I'm talking about the corners of the pitch on the opponent's side of the field, okay? I just wanted to show you that real quick, but let's jump right into the tactics board. So this is the tactics board, and this is the shape we usually build up in. Right here, I'm showing an example of us building up on the Lenny Yoro side, our right side. So if Lenny Yoro has the ball, you're going to see the team get into this diamond shape, okay? And usually, most of the time, you're going to see him pass out to the inside 10, who's going to be playing with his back to goal, and he's going to have to receive with a defender on his back. That's actually something that I want to get really deep into. It's very important that all of our players understand how to receive a ball with a defender on their back, because it's going to happen multiple times a game, and it's going to happen with almost every player that we have. And Rúben Amorim also gives them the option, the ones receiving, they have the option to try and turn their defender. I'm going to show you that later. Cunha does it magnificently. He did it great in the West Ham game a couple of times, but we are now starting to see other players do it in our team. So he gives them the option to turn the defender, or they can one-touch it onto someone who's facing upfield. Okay, I said this in the last video. This is very important. The guy receiving the ball is going to receive with his back to goal with a defender on his back. He can one-touch it to another one of his teammates that's facing upfield, who now has more time to make a decision and has had time to calculate what else is open. Now, the other thing is, when we are in this diamond shape, there's going to be this gap between the left, where I just drew this red square. You see this red square, but pay attention to where that is as when it comes to the diamond. And it could be on the other side if the diamond was on the other side of the field. Like if it was, or if it was in the middle of the field, you've got both of these options open. It's very important that you guys understand this stuff. We do it with the triangles too. It doesn't even have to be a diamond, but if you see a triangle or a diamond, I want you to think about these two sides on the other sides as exit password. There has to be an option. Someone has to be there. In this example, I'm going to have the striker, who is Rasmus Højlund. He's going to run into that area and receive with his back to goal. And you can see how that triggered everybody else to run. You guys have seen this a number of times, or we've seen it so many times already all preseason. We were starting to see it towards the end of last season, where Rasmus Højlund has to have good hold-up play. How many times did I complain last season that our striker is not good at the hold-up play? He has gotten a lot better this preseason. He's starting to show that he actually can do the job. He's doing these little flicks around the corner to Ahmad and stuff like that I'm going to show later, but he is starting to show that he's understanding the assignment. He's understanding how to stay on his feet, receive with his back against the defender, and then release the ball early onto one of these runners who are running up these channels, and they are past their defenders. We're going to see in-game footage. I'm going to show you guys that in a little bit. Let's get back to the tactics board. So if you look back at the tactics board, you see that if Rasmus can make that pass to the center midfielder who is now past his defender, you should easily have an open lane to somebody who's running into the box. And if that's not available, then you can pass to one of the wing backs who are also advancing upfield into zone 16 and 18. If it doesn't work, he can always choose to turn around and pass backwards. That's how we like to advance the ball out of that diamond shape. And guys, it's not the only thing we do. And also, I want you to pay attention to the fact that even if the striker is not available to fill in those gaps in those areas that I was talking about outside of the diamond or the triangle shape, then one of the attacking midfielders or even the center midfielder is free to fill that gap and take that run. It's very important that they do that. There's always got to be an option right there, and never mind the fact that also the people in the triangle can easily play and give and go and get out of that triangle. But there has to be an option there, even if the option of the give and go is there. I'm going to show you examples of all of this stuff in game in a couple of minutes, but I want you to understand that Rúben Amorim's system and tactics are actually all full of fluid movements, and it takes a lot for a team to learn how to actually execute these movements. But once they learn, it's not that difficult. But when you're first learning, it's confusing because there's all these options and these different movements that you have to make, and you have to do them at the right time. And you also have to send the pass at the right time. Guys, this is why we suffered so much last season. He did not have the time to work with his team week in and week out. And not to mention that when you're learning these kind of complicated movements, complicated patterns, which through time will become simple, by the way, but it are complicated when you're first learning them, when you've never played this type of football before. When you're learning this and you have bad apples in the dressing room, you have guys who are not given 100%, because he not only needs 100% physically, you have to be fit, because you will always be moving in this tactical formation, whatever you want to call it. You will always be moving. You have to have the stamina and the fitness to keep up, but you're also going to have a defender on your back most of the time. So you have to be strong, ready. Your legs have to be able to take a shove and stay on your feet. But also your brain has to be engaged. You have to be engaged mentally. See where the movements are. See where your teammates are going and which gaps you need to fill in. Because if you're late, you break the whole thing down. I can't wait to show you guys how well we are doing, and how some of the people that I used to say in the past that don't move well, they don't take positions well. Like one of the players I'm talking about is Ahmad. Last year, I would tell you guys, the boy is super talented, super skillful, but he is not very well versed in what positions he should take. He's almost always a little late to position, or just doesn't move enough. Waits on the wing isolated because he wants the ball and he wants to take someone on the dribble instead of moving to help his teammates find the shapes that they're supposed to find so they can start passing in the patterns they're supposed to pass in. In this game, Ahmad blew my socks off, man. Ahmad impressed me so much, and I'm not even talking about with the ball. I'm just talking about his movement, and I'm going to show you that too. But before we go into any of that, I got to pull up the tactics board again, because I want to show you one more thing or pattern of play that we do use to get our left center back and our right center back involved in the attack. And guys, for the people who say like the 3-4-3 is not going to work, if you're thinking about this as a formation, you're just wrong. It's not. I don't want you to think of it as three center backs, because those center backs sometimes are allowed to step all the way forward and do all kinds of things that center backs just do not do. We're going to take a look at those situations too. But let's look at the tactics board and let me show you something very, very simple to understand. this is an example that happens all the time. In this example, we start with like Dorgu's side of the ball, so our left side, having the ball, and there's nowhere to go. The defense is already set. We couldn't get past their defense, so now we're kind of trying to go backwards. This happens all the time. We're trying to go backwards, and he's going to go backwards to Luke Shaw in this instant, or the left center back, and then you'll have someone like Bruno or Mason Mount up there to form a triangle with Luke Shaw and Dorgu. But you'll see that Bruno's also going to step down, or the center mid is going to step down to help. While all this is happening, their defensive shape is all moving to that one side, which leaves open acres of space in front of the other side center back. In this instance, so we Lenny Yoro. And once we pass it once or twice between our center mids, and then one guy switches it to Lenny Yoro, and Lenny Yoro will have acres of space to run forward and attack the other team. Okay, let's start looking at in-game footage now and examples. I'm going to try to talk you guys through this. You're going to see a lot of triangles, a lot of give and goes. Like I said in past videos, they are going to be doing a lot of give and goes, a lot of crosses. Remember, I said that Rúben Amorim's team in Sporting used to average 20 crosses per game, so expect to see a lot of crosses. I believe we scored off 2 crosses in this game anyways. And you're going to see a lot of things that we've already talked about. Let's see if you can follow along. If you're new to the channel, you really need to be checking out my other videos like that one there. At the end of the video, I'll link that to the end so you can see a lot of the other things we've talked about. And if not, also see the last breakdown of the West Ham game I posted 3 days ago. And just watch some of my old tactics videos. I'll try my best to link some at the end of this video, but I mean, there's a lot for you to go through if you're new to the channel. So the best thing you can do is hit that subscribe button and stick around and watch future content. Okay, let's get right into it. So here we had a goal kick, and our goalkeeper kicks the ball all the way forward where it gets headed by one of their defenders. Now that big head goes all the way to Maguire. And now the cool thing about having consistent shapes and patterns like in these Rúben Amorim systems, if you've heard me say this before, I got this from an interview with Hjolmund. Hjolmund of Sporting used to say that everyone was so trained in positional discipline that everybody could play for Ruben as if it was playing PlayStation. They didn't even need to look at each other to know where someone's going to be. And we saw in this game a lot of passes like Maguire's pass in this example that I'm about to show, where they're really blind passes. I mean, he just knows that someone's supposed to be there. He hasn't had a chance to look over his shoulder to check if someone's actually there. He just knows that Dorgu's supposed to be there, and he sends this pass to that area where I circled, and you guys can see Dorgu's right there. As soon as Dorgu shows up, you start seeing the diamond. Now, if you're looking at this, you should be seeing a diamond and Ahmad. Ahmad's not a part of the diamond, but Ahmad, if you notice his position, is standing in that exact spot I showed you on the tactics board where you're supposed to stand to be an outlet pass, okay, for the diamond. Usually it's the striker standing there, but like I said, it's not always the striker. It's the striker 80% of the time. But sometimes it's one of the attacking midfielders who's going to be standing there. And if they did send him the ball there, he would have to receive with his back to goal, like I said. In this instance, they're not going to use Ahmad as the outlet. You're going to see Dorgu play a 1-2 with Bruno Fernandes, and they're past their defenders. Now you're going to see Ahmad take off on a diagonal run to the outside, and you'll see Rasmus take off on a diagonal run to the inside. Guys, this is exactly what Sporting did against Man City in that Champions League game, to the T. The 1-2, the give and go, and then the diagonal runs. But here you'll see that actually they didn't run out of options, and there's more defenders back than there are our players, so we're outnumbered. And because we're outnumbered, Bruno tells Ahmad to go ahead and pass back to Luke Shaw so we can reset again. We don't want to try and attack when we're outnumbered by the defense like that. We can comfortably go back and watch Ahmad's movement there. He keeps running. He forms a triangle. Now it's 3-on-1 against this guy. So one pass from Luke Shaw to Ahmad, and they're past that one defender, which is Semeex. Now it's 2-on-1 against the next defender with Ahmad and Bruno against, I think his name is Bellings or something. And Ahmad's going to play the give and go and run right past that defender. And now we're past that defender. And you'll see that Dorgu has zone 16 wide open, and I wish Ahmad sent the ball to Dorgu there, but he did not. He played another pass to Casemiro. We're still in a triangle. You can see the movement of the whole team is perfect, and now Lenny Yoro has acres of space like we talked about on the tactics board earlier, and they get the ball to Lenny Yoro, who's going to take all that space that he has. Rúben Amorim allows his center backs to go as far forward as they like, and he sends in the cross. For people who say we're playing with too many center backs, just realize that that happens plenty of times. Even Luke Shaw is going to attack the opponent's box. It's not something that happens once in a while. Don't think of it as a highly defensive formation, because it's not. The only reason why he needs those 3 center backs is to actually make the shapes that he's trying to get into. Here's another play where they boot a long ball to us, and you'll see Luke Shaw headed down to Mason Mount, and Mason Mount knows that someone, especially the striker, is supposed to be in that pocket I was telling you guys about earlier on the tactics board, where he's going to receive with his back to goal, take 1 or 2 touches, and then release the ball to one of the forward-facing runners. And in this case, the forward-facing runner is Delo, and he's got acres of space. And you'll see Delo is running there, and now it's almost 3-on-3 if he can leave his man behind. Problem is, the pass wasn't exactly the greatest pass. It went out wide too much, so it slowed us down. And this is what I meant earlier when I told you Ahmad's movement impressed the hell out of me. Ahmad right away went back to help Delo. Usually he would either linger there or go more out wide and try to call for the ball and try to dribble his man one-on-one. But he right away turned around, went back to help Delo with the ball and get into his shape. He told Delo to pass to Euro, which he did not. Delo passed to Ahmad. It's okay. Ahmad got it to Euro, and now we're back in that triangle with Ahmad, Casemiro, and Euro. And Euro gives it back to Ahmad, who's going to receive with his back to goal. I told you guys that a lot of times that with this formation, with these tactics, a lot of our players are going to have to learn how to receive with their back to goal, and they have the option to spin their defender or turn on their defender and dribble upfield. Cunha is amazing at this. I can't wait to see Mbumo. Mbumo is going to be great at this too. Ahmad's actually not too bad at this. Here he tries to turn his defender and dribble against him. Something went wrong. He didn't like his touch or something, or he just didn't have the space he thought he was going to have. But he has a wide open Casemiro because we're in a beautiful triangular shape. Casemiro gets the ball. Now we've got another triangle with Bruno Fernandes, but also beyond the triangle, there's that open space where someone is supposed to be, like I was telling you guys earlier, someone's supposed to be in those gaps between the diamonds or the triangles, guys. Always, someone is supposed to run over there, and that person is almost always going to have a lot of space because he's on the opposite side of the play. Here, Mason Mount gets the ball, receives it, and now he's got a Dorgu who's one-on-one isolated, so he gives Dorgu the ball. This is where I think Mason Mount might have made a mistake. I'm not 100% sure. I'm not in training. I am just telling you guys what I see, so I'm not 100% positive, but I see Mason Mount checking over his shoulder here to see what's going on, what the team shape looks like. And for me, it feels like there's a big gap in the middle where I believe Mason was supposed to run into, because Luke Shaw can be taking up the space that Mason is running into, okay? Luke Shaw could have been taking up that same space. I think Mason wasn't supposed to be there. I think Mason was supposed to be right here, forming a triangle with Luke Shaw, or even better, a diamond if you even think about Bruno Fernandes. Luke Shaw would have been at the bottom, Dorgu and Bruno in the middle, and Mason Mount up ahead. But it's okay. The thing is, they already know how to get out of these situations when they make bad decisions. He's 2-on-1 with Semenyo running at him, or one-on-one really, with Semenyo running at him a little bit too aggressively. He does a give and go with Bruno, and he's around Semenyo in the clear. And now keep an eye on Rasmus Højlund. Beautiful, beautiful movement by Rasmus to make himself available exactly at the right time. Guys, this is the kind of stuff when I see that I'm thinking whatever Rúben Amorim's doing in training is working. He is definitely getting Ahmad's movement great. Bruno's movement, great. Lenny Yoro's movement, great. Rasmus's movement, great. Dorgu's movement, great. Mason Mount, sure, he made a mistake, but he made up for it right here. You can see the give and go. He gives it to Rasmus and starts to run. And again, I don't know if that was a mistake. I'm just saying, to me, it felt like a mistake, like he was supposed to be over there. Because, like I said, Luke Shaw could have been taking up that position. But you can see how quickly they remedied a mistake and start doing the right thing. I mean, guys, how are you not excited? Like, I am so excited and this is without Cunha and without Mbumo. It's just our same 15th place team actually passing and moving, creating diamonds, triangles, and outlet passes beyond those shapes and finding people in the open. I can't tell you how exciting it was for me to watch this game. This was the first game in preseason, even though we did good in other preseason games. This was the first game in preseason where I sat there going, almost every minute had good things happening, Whereas in the other games, it was every 5 to 10 minutes, a good thing would happen. We're starting to click all the time. Guys, I can't wait until 2 or 3 months go by and every touch and every movement is the right one. Do you get what I'm saying? Well, of course there's going to be mistakes, but I mean, at least the shapes are all the right ones. I can't wait for it. And Ruben is definitely the right manager for us. Let's jump right back in. So Rasmus has the ball. You got Mason Mount running forward. You got Dorgu running forward. Can Rasmus make a good decision? He goes to Lenny Yoro, who's wide open. And now Lenny's walking forward. You'll see that triangle there. So he can easily pass to Ahmad, who can easily find Casemiro if he needs it. Gives it to Ahmad. Ahmad takes it back. Casemiro. And then Casemiro tries that zone 18 pass. Guys, we're supposed to go zone 18, but not like that. Not when it's not even open and we're on their side of the field. But anyway, here, Diego Dalot does actually a big mistake there. Diego Dalot, if you're losing that, is supposed to try and lose the ball for a throw-in in the zone. And the reason why you want to try and lose the ball as a throw-in, because that is where you set up your pressing trap. I told you guys this in numerous videos before, that the reason why you attack zone 16 and zone 18 is because if you do it right with the right time, not there, Casemiro was not supposed to do that there. That's something you do when you're on your half of the field and they're pressing hard and your striker or your wingback can exploit that zone. We weren't on our half of the field. Their defense was already set up. When you kick it there like that, it's almost always out of desperation. And if that's okay too, but if you do it, then you want to make sure that your teammate isn't going to lose the ball for a goal kick. You want him to lose the ball for a throw-in, if anything, or just turn it over there and everyone will trigger a counter press. You can turn it over there or you can lose it for a throw-in. You should not be losing it for a goal kick because you got to set up your pressing trap. Like I said, you know what? Give me a second. I'll be right back. I'm going to go find some pressing traps that we did in this game because we did do them a couple of times. I'll be right back with some examples of that. You won't even notice I'm gone. All right, I'm back. And I seem to have lost my hat while I was at it. But it's all right. We're going to go hatless for the rest of this video. Guys, I just took the time to find you guys a perfect example of what I was talking about. If they have a throw-in from one of those deeper zones, how we want to press. I can't wait to show it to you guys. But if you're still here, man, and you're watching this video, drop a like. I'm you know what I mean? I'm trying my best here to give you guys a good video. Drop a like for me. Let's get that like count up. Let's see if we can get to 500 or more likes. Guys, I've never gotten 1,000 likes, I think. But I'll settle for 500. So if you're watching this video and it's got less than 500 likes, click that like button, man, please. Let's get this video trending. All right, let me show you guys what I'm talking about. So here they are, and they have a throw-in from a deep zone. And look at how crazy our press is. And we have like everybody up there. Lenny Yoro's pressuring the dude from the back. The guy tries to get a pass. We got more, and we foul there, sure. But you saw how intense our press was. You saw how many people we committed forward. We are not going to allow them to get out of that situation. If they're going to get out of that situation, they're going to have to make one or two really good passes. Usually one pass is not going to do it, actually. It's going to be 2 or 3 great passes for them to get out of that situation. And if we turn it over, if we win a turnover there, then we pretty much make them pay. Guys, I only watched 3 minutes of the game to find you guys that example. That example happened in the 3rd minute of the game, or else I'm sure I can find examples where we actually did create a turnover from that kind of press, okay? That's why if you get the ball next to zone 16 and 18, great. If you have it, try to create something. But if you don't have it, or if you're going to turn it over so we can counter press, or make sure it's a throw-in. Don't lose it for a goal kick. That really doesn't gives us many options to counter press, and we let them set up their play. Most teams in the EPL have some sort of pattern or play they like to run from a goal kick, and you don't want to have them have the center of the field so they can decide which way they want to go. If they have a throw-in from the corner, they really have not many options, and they're going to have to suffer the press and see if they can get their way out of it. Okay, now I'm going to hit you up with some really quick examples of some of the things I've talked about and things you could be looking for in a game. That doesn't mean these things are going to turn out to be like these fantastic plays, but you'll definitely see the patterns that I've been talking about and the things that I'm trying to show you for you to look for in the Everton game if it hasn't happened yet. Like I said, if it's already happened, you're watching this after, it's okay. You'll start to see these same patterns in the next game you watch. Let's get right into it. Okay, here Euro gives the ball to Delo, and you see the triangle with Casemiro, and Delo's looking at that same area I've been telling you about, outside the triangle or the diamond where the striker is supposed to be to receive the ball. Most of the time it's the striker. It could also be anybody else. But look at how as soon as he receives the ball, he's going to have a defender right up his back. He's going to have to muscle that defender. He's going to have to be good at the hold-up play. This is exactly why I think that Manchester United is actually very interested in Benjamin Sesko. Benjamin Sesko is actually really good at this type of stuff. He can do these things really well at a very high level. That's not saying that Rasmus Højlund isn't doing better this preseason than I've ever seen him do at this type of thing. Guys, I was somebody who's made videos about Rasmus Højlund last season talking about he cannot do what needs to be done. This is what needs to be done. This is what Victor Gyökeres was so good at for Sporting, to release the pressure, get the ball moving from the back to the front by doing the good things, the good hold-up play that needs to be done. Benjamin Sesko is a big boy who can knock down headers and also hold up the ball and take a hit from the back. And believe me, that when Rasmus Højlund falls, a lot of referees don't call the foul, just like this referee didn't call it in this example. And a lot of times it happens in the Premier League where we just start saying, man, this guy falls too easy, because you're supposed to be able to take a little bit of a shove, a little bit of contact, and not fall. If you fall, they're not going to call it. It has to be excessive for you to fall. And believe me when I say, for Benjamin Sesko, 6'5", when he falls, they're going to call it, because he's pretty good at staying on his feet. So they're going to have to shove him to make him fall. It's like watching Zlatan fall. If Zlatan falls, you almost always call the foul, because you know it's not easy to knock him down. You must have put some force into it to knock him down. And that's why I think we want Sesko, because he's really good at that. He's also really fast in the open channels. We need a striker who can run really fast and is also good at the hold-up play. And then don't forget, we're going to cross the ball 18 to 20 times a game once we start getting fluid with this system and once we learn the system better. There's no one better than having a 6'5" striker in the box like Benjamin Sesko who can jump really high if you're going to cross the ball that often. Let's look at the next example. In this example, you'll see Leny Yoro has the ball here. He's going to pass it out wide to Delo, and you'll see the diamond shape with Yoro, Casemiro, Ahmad, and Delo. And you'll see that I highlighted Bruno and the run he's supposed to make, because, like I said, outside of the triangle and outside of the diamond, somebody has to be available in that gap there. There will always be an opening, because defensive shapes usually work out that way. You'll see Bruno take that run and make that diagonal run to that open area. He's going to get the ball, and now we got the numbers. Unfortunately, here Bruno makes a bad touch or whatever, and we don't get anything off from it. But still, the idea was there. The pattern was there. This was one of my favorite plays early on in the game. Mason Mount has the ball going up this side, gives it to Dorgu. Dorgu, Mount, and Bruno Fernandes form that triangle. Dorgu doesn't feel comfortable going to Mount right away, so he goes to Bruno. Bruno plays the 1-2 with Mason Mount and gets the shot off. I saw that, that was like the 3rd minute of the game. When I saw that, I was like, oh, maybe it's going to be one of those good games that I've been dying to start seeing. And it did. It turned out that way. Here's another example where you've got this funky diamond. I know that it doesn't look like a diamond when I pause this thing, but believe me, Leny Yoro is going to start moving backwards, and it'll look like a diamond to you in about a second if you give it a chance, because Leny Yoro is the only one that's a little bit too high. If he moves down a little bit, that would look like a diamond. Now, that open space that I circled in yellow is the space that I was telling you guys about. Again, whenever there's a triangle or a diamond, just outside the diamond or triangle on a diagonal is where there's going to be open space for someone to either run into, or the striker has to go in there and receive with the back to goal and have someone on his back. And this is what happened in this play. Casemiro gives it to Bruno. Bruno sends it to the striker, who is there. Rasmus is there with a defender on his back. Again, like I said, our striker is going to have to be good at this. And then let's watch Rasmus actually do pretty well holding up the ball, giving it to Cass. And now Rasmus can spin his defender, who was being really aggressive on his back. And that's why it's so important to stay on your feet in these situations. If the defender is being that aggressive on your back, the defender's momentum is going towards your goal. If you can one touch it to someone who's facing forward, you can spin and run, and you're going to have an open lane, which he had here. And unfortunately, Mason Mount did not hit him with the pass. This could have been an easy opportunity for Rasmus, and I think he would have finished this off. But again, Mason Mount did make a little bit of an error here. He didn't think fast enough. He didn't see this play unfolding fast enough. And believe me, this pattern has been worked over and over again because they keep doing the same things. There's only a couple of possible outcomes that's going to happen with these things when they happen. We left their defense behind. Rasmus had an open lane to go to their goal, and Mason Mount, unfortunately, didn't see it early enough, didn't hit him with it, and he hit him too late, and then the play is over. Like I told you guys, I can't wait for about a month or two from now when we're not late to see these things, when we've seen it a couple dozen more times in game. And Mason Mount, like if Mason Mount sees that 5 more times, he's not going to be late. You know what I mean? Like the first couple of times you experience it in a game, you go, oh crap, I missed that. I missed that pass. But once you see it a half a dozen times in game, you're used to it and you won't miss it. Besides, it won't be Mason Mount, it'll probably Mateus Cunha, and I don't think Cunha is going to miss it because he's always looking forward. This one example I want to show you is really interesting to me. Here, Lenny Yoro has the ball, and we don't really have a diamond or a triangle formed. And you'll see Cass is a little bit slow to move. So Bruno drops back to help out. And as soon as Bruno drops back to help out, this is another thing that Ahmad did that really impressed me. He checked back to run into there to form that triangle with Bruno and with Yoro. And now you see Bruno going on the run for the give and go pass, which Ahmad is going to send to him. But Bruno, being the clever Bruno Fernandes that he is, he steps over the ball and lets Casemiro have it. And that leaves us with an open pass to Mason Mount, who's standing in that spot he's supposed to be standing in with his back to goal to receive. And he gives it to Bruno, kept running, and now you've got two runners up ahead of him that he can try to get the ball to, but unfortunately Mason Mount's ball was kind of bouncing around a little bit, so it gave the defender an opportunity to stick his foot in and get a touch on it. But that was a really, really cool play from a position where we couldn't even set up a triangle or a diamond. Bruno dropped back to help Yoro, and then you saw Ahmad right away run in and form that triangle with Bruno and Yoro, and then we were off to the races with the give and goes and our patterns. It was just really nice to see that even when the triangle or diamond is not readily there yet, someone else is willing to drop back to help, and then the triangle takes place, and then we go into our normal patterns. So let's take a look at this ball. This is an interesting play too. You got Casemiro running back towards our goal. He passes it to Yoro, and once Yoro gets the ball, you have that wide open space in that gap that we talked about right in front of midfield. He's going to go there, and this time it's Ahmad receiving with his back to goal and a defender on his back. Like I told you, there's going to be a lot of times where our players are going to have to receive with their back to goal. Ahmad passes to Delo, and now they form that diamond, and now we're into our patterns. We're in that diamond. He passes back to Lenny Yoro to Ahmad, who's receiving with his back to goal. But now Lenny Yoro is going for the give and go pass. Even our center backs are willing to play 1-2s, guys. It's very important that you understand. This is why I'm telling you the 3-back system thing that people talk about is not a real thing. Our center back was going for the give and go, and he had the goalkeeper if he needed a safe option. But Ahmad turns him, and what do you know? Our other center back now, Luke Shaw, has wide open space to carry the ball into, and he's going to carry it. I wish he would have seen the switch to Delo here. Delo is wide open with acres of space, and if Luke Shaw would have seen it, it would have been a great switch to try and attempt. But he gives it to Dorgu. Dorgu has to play with his back to goal with a defender on his back. He spins his defender and takes off the middle. Dorgu is just a beast. Dorgu is going to... He's only 22 years old or something like that, 21 years old. I don't know what he is, but he's really young and he's a beast. He comes all the way to the middle, gives it to Ahmad, and he keeps running diagonally. Guys, our left wing back is now playing as our right number attacking midfielder. It's really fluid system. You cannot tell me that Rúben Amorim system is rigid and that we can't win with a 3-4-3. It's barely a 3-4-3 at times. It's barely a 3-4-3 at times. You have to be watching for what the system is. But I don't blame you, because last season we were no good. I only knew what I knew because of how many sporting games I had watched and how much I studied Rúben Amorim when I heard he was going to take over. I was not a sporting fan. This isn't me claiming I was. But I did watch a half a dozen games and went, this is the most interesting system I have seen in a long, long time. Inzaghi was one of my favorites to watch too. His Inter Milan system was very interesting. And then Rúben Amorim's sporting system was super interesting. And now we're starting to see us like kind of taking shape. And like I said, we're not there yet. We're about a month or two away from actually being there, and I'm so excited to see what's to come. And then after that, if we're not winning games or dominating in games that we should be dominating in, then next summer we can get rid of the weakest players and strengthen with stronger players. That's really what I think the plan needs to be. I don't think it's that. I think with Cunha and Mbumo, we made two really good purchases. I really hope we get Benjamin Šeško because the more I watch of him, the more of a fan. By the way, I watched 4 of his games now. I told you guys who've been with me for a while that I'm planning on making a Benjamin Šeško video. I just want to be sure he's not going to Newcastle, because making these video guys, like these videos that I'm making right now, like this video I'm making, takes hours upon hours to make, edit, to plan, and to shoot and post for you guys. So I hope you've dropped the like button. And if you haven't, shame on you, man. Drop a like. If you've been here for this long, if you like what you're hearing, drop a like, dude. That's all I ask for. I'm a small time guy, by the way. I only have like 5,100 subscribers, which, by the way, I'm thankful for every single one of you. If you're new to the channel, you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, hit that subscribe. Let's get my numbers up so that one day, maybe one day, I could do this full time and I can post more than 2 or 3 videos a week, so I can make videos for you guys every single day. That would be like a dream come true if I actually did this for a living. Let's look at one more play. I thought this would be an interesting play to look at as one more, or the last play I do. And believe me, guys, I edited actually 5 more plays than this. But like I said, it's really hard work to edit and do all this. And this video is already getting long. But let's look at this one more play that I thought was super interesting. It's actually off a throw-in, and you'll see the same patterns of movement that we've been doing under Rúben Amorim, even with throw-ins. So here you'll see that you got Mason Mount, you got Dorgu, and Luke Shaw's throwing it in. Now, Mason Mount's going to work diagonally out towards Shaw, and Dorgu's going to work away from Shaw, and that opens up space for our striker, Rasmus Højlund, who's receiving it with his back to goal with a defender on his back. And I was just interested. I mean, nothing happens out of this play, but it was really interesting to me that we're actually doing it out of throw-ins too. We've got the zigzagging patterns, the zigzagging movements, and you've got your striker receiving with his back to goal. It's actually really, really interesting to me. And like I said, it's going to be a couple more weeks or months before we start doing things like even better than we're doing it today. But it's super, super cool to see that our team is evolving. And guys, I hope that I showed you why a player like Benjamin Šeško is so important. Yes, our striker needs to be able to run the channels, and I understand that. But a lot of people think that that's the most important thing in a Rúben Amorim tactical system, but actually it's not. The most important thing is being able to play with your back to goal with a defender on your back. That's the number one most important thing. The second most important thing is to be able to run the channels. Victor Gyökeres was really, really strong with his back to goal and with the hold up play. And his second best attribute was running the channels. It wasn't his first. He was super strong, man. I mean, defenders could not knock that guy down. And if they did, it was called a foul because it took a foul to do it. So that's why I think we're going for Benjamin Šeško, not to mention the extra spice that he's 6'5", and we are going to be crossing the ball a lot in the future once we get more of the hang of things of what Ruben wants us to do. And the crossing of the ball is actually very, very important, because what happens when you cross the ball as much as Ruben wants to cross the ball is it starts to make the defense go a little bit out wider to stop that delivery of the cross. And once that happens, your right 10 and your left 10 start getting a little bit more space in the middle. And if they're guys who can dribble one-on-one, they're going to have a field day dribbling one-on-one, man. Guys, thank you so much for being here for this video. I am going to try to make a non-tactical video next, but I know some of you guys are going to ask me for that Everton breakdown, and maybe I will do that, or maybe I won't. I will see how the game goes and if it's interesting enough, but believe me, I covered a lot of things today in this video. The next video is probably going to be about Benjamin Šeško, and it might actually be tactical, but that's only if we don't get news in the next 48 hours that he's going to Newcastle. If he's going to Newcastle, I'm not going to bother making a Benjamin Šeško video working this hard to break down a player of another team. I have high hopes. I think we will get the deal done, but let's see what happens. Thank you so much for being here. If you're new to the channel, check out this video and that video. I don't know, there's going to be a bunch of videos and links popping up on your screen. Check one of those out. Go into my channel, subscribe, find some older videos and watch them. For the guys who've always been with me, I love you guys. Thank you very much. Hit that like button. I'll see you soon. Peace.